The calm surface of the Baltic Sea belied a sudden surge of tension. By midday, reports began circulating through Swedish defense channels. A Russian submarine had been detected in waters considered sensitive, close to Sweden's southern maritime borders. Official statements at first described the incident in measured terms, noting unidentified underwater activity and promising further monitoring. Yet sources within the Swedish armed forces conveyed a far more urgent reality. The detection triggered an immediate escalation of surveillance, mobilization of naval assets, and coordination with allied intelligence units. The submarine's presence, while not unprecedented in the Baltic, carried strategic implications. Analysts emphasize that the southern corridor of the Swedish maritime zone is crucial for both civilian shipping and military operations. Any unauthorized submarine movement in this area represents not only a potential threat to territorial integrity but also a test of national readiness and rapid response capabilities. According to military sources, multiple layers of detection, sonar arrays, coastal radar, and aerial reconnaissance, converged on the object within minutes, confirming both its location and the level of operational stealth it maintained. Sweden's immediate response was both methodical and rapid. Naval units, already on routine patrol, were redeployed to establish a perimeter, while coastal command centers activated rapid assessment protocols. Communications with NATO monitoring stations were established, emphasizing both transparency and defensive preparedness. Experts observing the situation highlight that the speed and coordination of Sweden's response reflects extensive prior planning for precisely this type of incursion, a scenario long anticipated by both domestic defense analysts and international military observers. Media and diplomatic messaging followed a similar pattern: calm, factual updates emphasizing monitoring and sovereignty, while internal operations escalated. Satellite tracking, drone reconnaissance, and underwater sensor networks were all brought online, creating a comprehensive situational picture. Intelligence sources suggest that Moscow had likely calculated that initial detection would be delayed, yet Swedish early warning systems proved effective in confirming the submarine's trajectory and capabilities within a remarkably short window. At this stage, the dynamics were already shifting. The mere presence of the vessel triggered a ripple effect. Neighboring naval commands adjusted patrol patterns, contingency planning for potential escalation was activated, and internal briefings in Stockholm emphasized both defense readiness and strategic messaging. Analysts note that Sweden's approach, rapid detection followed by disciplined operational response, signals a broader intention to demonstrate control over national waters while avoiding unnecessary provocation. For now, the submarine's intentions remain speculative. Whether a training exercise, intelligence gathering mission, or a probe of defensive readiness, the event has immediately heightened strategic awareness. According to defense observers, Sweden's ability to coordinate real-time response, integrate multiple sensor platforms, and communicate with allied partners illustrates a level of preparedness that is both reassuring internally and visible externally. Possibly, it is worth following the developments closely, for insiders suggest that what began as a routine detection could be the first signal of broader strategic maneuvers in the Baltic region, and Sweden's measured yet instantaneous response may set the tone for how events unfold in the hours to come. By midday, the operational picture in the southern Baltic had begun to clarify, yet the full implications of the submarine's presence were still unfolding. Swedish defense sources report that once the initial detection occurred, a rapid sequence of procedural escalations was initiated across multiple command layers. Coastal radar stations relayed coordinates to naval task groups, while sonar networks and underwater listening posts were calibrated to track the submarine's movement continuously. Within minutes, patrol vessels had established a dynamic perimeter, systematically adjusting positions in response to acoustic signatures and movement patterns. Analysts observing these maneuvers emphasize that the speed and precision of deployment reflect extensive pre-planning for such contingencies, underscoring Sweden's investment in layered maritime defense. Simultaneously, aerial reconnaissance assets were activated to complement the naval presence. Surveillance aircraft and drones were dispatched to monitor surface activity, ensuring that both the submarine and surrounding maritime traffic could be observed without interference. Official communications emphasized routine monitoring, but insiders describe an intense flurry of activity. Flight paths were coordinated with naval units, sensor data was shared in real time, and predictive modeling was employed to anticipate the submarine's likely course. This integration of air, sea, and sensor assets created a multidimensional surveillance envelope, capable of both immediate response and continuous situational assessment. The strategic context adds another layer of significance. The southern Baltic corridor is a critical artery for international shipping and regional energy transit, and any unauthorized underwater movement in these waters carries potential geopolitical repercussions. Analysts note that Russian submarine operations in the Baltic, while historically periodic, are designed to probe both defensive readiness and response coordination. By demonstrating instantaneous detection and measured escalation, Sweden was able to assert sovereignty while signaling capability, a dual message to both Moscow and regional observers. Coordination with allied intelligence structures was immediate. NATO liaison officers and regional partners were briefed, emphasizing transparency and mutual awareness, without disclosing sensitive operational details. This rapid sharing of verified information serves two purposes: reinforcing defensive credibility and ensuring that any subsequent maneuvering by the submarine is observed collectively, reducing the opportunity for unilateral escalation. Analysts highlight that this type of collaborative monitoring is a hallmark of modern maritime security operations, particularly in contested regions where strategic signaling can be as critical as kinetic response. Media channels, both domestic and international, were managed to maintain calm while conveying essential facts. Official statements highlighted surveillance and monitoring rather than confrontation, projecting confidence without unnecessary alarm. Behind the scenes, internal communications focused on risk assessment, tactical options, and potential scenarios ranging from routine transit to more aggressive reconnaissance. These discussions informed the deployment of assets, the adjustment of patrol patterns, and the calibration of defensive readiness, ensuring that operational response was both immediate and proportionate. Technical details of the detection reveal the sophistication of Sweden's systems. Sonar arrays, acoustic sensors, and passive listening stations triangulated the submarine's location and classified its likely type and operational profile. Continuous analysis of acoustic signatures allowed operators to anticipate movements and adapt the perimeter dynamically, while predictive modeling supported decision-making regarding potential interception points. Analysts observing the operation note that such multi-layered integration of data streams demonstrates a high degree of preparedness, capable of both defensive containment and operational intelligence collection. The ripple effects of the detection extended beyond tactical deployment. Neighboring naval commands adjusted patrol schedules, reinforcing maritime coverage and maintaining rapid response readiness. Contingency plans for escalation, ranging from communication warnings to coordinated intercepts, were activated and rehearsed in parallel. Internal briefings emphasized the importance of measured escalation, highlighting both the defensive posture and the strategic signaling inherent in the response. By managing both perception and operational reality, Sweden demonstrated the ability to maintain control without provoking unnecessary conflict. Strategically, the incident reinforced Sweden's approach to modern maritime security, a combination of rapid detection, integrated response, and calibrated communication. Observers note that the swift mobilization, the precise tracking of the submarine, and the coordination with allied networks collectively send a clear message: Sweden maintains sovereignty over its waters, possesses the capability to respond instantly to incursions, and operates within a framework that balances defensive readiness with diplomatic prudence. By this stage, it was apparent that the presence of the submarine was testing both technical capability and command cohesion. Each movement, each signal, and each deployment was analyzed in real time, feeding into a continuous operational picture that informed decisions at multiple levels. Analysts describe the process as a controlled escalation, where every action is purposeful, data-driven, and integrated into a broader strategy of surveillance, deterrence, and readiness. Possibly, it is worth continuing to observe the evolving situation, for insiders suggest that while the submarine's immediate actions are contained, the implications for regional naval posture, intelligence assessment, and strategic signaling may unfold gradually, revealing both the depth of Swedish preparedness and the broader dynamics at play in the Baltic theater. By midday, the Swedish response had evolved from rapid detection to a sustained and multi-layered operational posture. Sources within the Swedish armed forces indicate that once the submarine's presence was confirmed, the engagement transitioned into a continuous monitoring and deterrence phase, combining intelligence gathering, tactical assessment, and strategic signaling. Naval units, already repositioned along the southern corridor, established overlapping patrol sectors, creating a dynamic barrier designed both to observe the submarine's movements and to assert Swedish sovereignty. Analysts highlight that this level of coordination, integrating surface vessels, sonar arrays, and aerial reconnaissance, reflects years of systematic planning for precisely such contingencies in the Baltic's confined waters. Operational data show that the submarine's trajectory was tracked with remarkable precision. Acoustic signatures collected from passive sonar stations were continuously analyzed to identify class, propulsion type, and likely operational objectives. Meanwhile, active sonar sweeps were conducted cautiously, calibrated to detect without provoking escalation. Flight paths of surveillance aircraft and drones were optimized to maintain visual coverage while minimizing the risk of interference, ensuring that the vessel's movement could be mapped accurately and continuously. Each adjustment of patrol vessels, each rerouting of reconnaissance flights, and each acoustic ping was integrated into a live operational picture, allowing command to anticipate potential maneuvers and maintain a layered response envelope. Sweden's rapid and methodical escalation was not solely tactical, it carried clear strategic intent. Observers note that the timing, visibility, and coordination of responses serve multiple purposes. First, to deter any potential aggressive action by the intruding submarine, second, to reassure domestic audiences and allied partners of Sweden's readiness, and third, to communicate capability and resolve to Moscow without overt confrontation. Analysts emphasize that such signaling is a calculated balance, showing strength and control while avoiding actions that could be interpreted as provocation or pretext for escalation. Coordination with Allied intelligence networks amplified the Swedish response. NATO liaison channels and regional partners received timely updates, creating a collective awareness of the incursion and enabling synchronized monitoring. While operational details remained classified, analysts indicate that this integration allows for both early warning and rapid decision-making in case the situation escalates. In this sense, the submarine's presence became not merely a tactical challenge but a catalyst for regional coordination, testing the responsiveness and interoperability of Baltic security networks. Internal communications suggest that command decisions were informed by both real-time data and predictive modeling. The submarine's likely route, speed, and operational profile were continuously assessed to anticipate next moves, and assets were repositioned proactively to ensure coverage without creating vulnerabilities. This predictive approach allowed Swedish forces to maintain a flexible posture, ready to adapt to any sudden shifts in behavior while sustaining a visible yet controlled operational footprint. Analysts describe this as a textbook example of layered maritime defense, where observation, deterrence, and intelligence collection occur simultaneously within a coherent operational framework. Financial and strategic observers also noted subtle ripples in the broader regional context. Shipping schedules, civilian traffic coordination, and port operations were monitored to ensure that the submarine's presence did not create undue risk or operational congestion. The integration of civilian and military oversight illustrates Sweden's commitment to maintaining normalcy and operational continuity even during heightened alert, further emphasizing the country's ability to manage complex maritime challenges without public disruption. Diplomatic and media channels were similarly calibrated. Official statements focused on factual reporting and reassurance, projecting composure and procedural normalcy while the operational forces executed a complex, multidimensional response. Analysts note that this dual-layer approach, operational intensity beneath public calm, serves both domestic and international strategic objectives, conveying control and readiness without escalating tension unnecessarily. By this stage, the incursion had begun to reveal additional patterns. The submarine's behavior, trajectory adjustments, depth changes, and apparent reconnaissance efforts suggested a probe of both Swedish response protocols and Allied situational awareness. Analysts emphasize that such probing is a common tactic in modern submarine operations, designed to gather intelligence on detection systems, response times, and coordination efficiency. Sweden's rapid, transparent, and measured reaction effectively neutralized the element of surprise while simultaneously documenting operational parameters, creating a rich dataset for both immediate response and long-term strategic analysis. Meanwhile, command-level assessments considered a range of contingencies. Scenarios for escalation, interception, and engagement were modeled in parallel, ensuring that options remained available should the situation evolve. Each decision was guided by strict rules of engagement, strategic doctrine, and risk assessment, balancing deterrence with prudence. Observers describe this as a high-stakes exercise in precision management, maintaining readiness, asserting sovereignty, and collecting intelligence, all without crossing thresholds that could trigger unnecessary confrontation. As midday continued, the multidimensional response solidified. Naval, aerial, and sensor assets operated in a coordinated network, maintaining constant surveillance while adapting dynamically to the submarine's movements. Allied and regional partners remained informed, creating a broader strategic buffer around Sweden's territorial waters. Analysts emphasize that this combination of tactical responsiveness, intelligence integration, and strategic signaling exemplifies modern maritime security doctrine, demonstrating both the capability and the restraint required in sensitive theaters such as the Baltic Sea. Possibly, it is worth noting that the day's developments indicate a broader principle. In high-stakes maritime scenarios, control is exercised not only through immediate tactical response but through the integration of intelligence, operational flexibility, allied coordination, and strategic signaling. Sweden's measured yet instantaneous reaction to the submarine's presence illustrates this approach, highlighting how modern naval powers manage uncertainty, assert sovereignty, and maintain deterrence in real time, all while shaping perception and minimizing risk. The situation, though contained for now, continues to unfold as observers track the interplay of operational precision, intelligence gathering, and strategic influence in one of the world's most closely watched maritime theaters. By midday, the dynamics of the Baltic incursion had evolved beyond immediate detection and tactical response into a complex, multi-layered operational scenario. Swedish forces, having established initial contact and tracking of the Russian submarine, transitioned into a sustained posture of surveillance, intelligence gathering, and strategic readiness. Sources within the Swedish armed forces report that naval units were operating in coordinated sectors, continuously adjusting positions to maintain optimal coverage while avoiding unnecessary escalation. The vessel's precise movement patterns, speed changes, and acoustic signatures were fed into real-time predictive models, allowing command to anticipate likely maneuvers and pre-position assets accordingly. Analysts emphasize that this represents a level of operational sophistication consistent with years of planning for underwater contingencies in the confined and strategically sensitive waters of the southern Baltic. Air assets remained integral to the response. Surveillance aircraft and unmanned aerial vehicles operated along overlapping flight corridors, providing continuous visual confirmation of surface conditions and potential anomalies. Coordination between airborne and maritime assets ensured that coverage was not only continuous but also multidimensional, enabling operators to cross-validate sonar readings, surface observations, and intelligence reports. Predictive analytics informed adjustments in flight paths, patrol densities, and sensor focus, creating a highly adaptive monitoring environment. Observers highlight that the seamless integration of sea, air, and sensor layers reflects a deliberate investment in both technological capability and procedural discipline, enabling Sweden to maintain operational control in real time. Simultaneously, command-level decision-making emphasized strategic signaling. Every action, redeployment of vessels, timing of sonar sweeps, and visible patrol maneuvers, served a dual purpose, ensuring operational containment of the intruding submarine while sending a calculated message of readiness and sovereignty. Analysts note that this approach aligns with modern maritime doctrine, in which deterrence is communicated as much through visible capability and procedural rigor as through overt confrontation. The Swedish response effectively balanced assertiveness with restraint, signaling strength without creating conditions that could inadvertently escalate tensions. Intelligence coordination amplified the operational effect. NATO liaison channels and regional partners received timely, verified updates, reinforcing collective awareness of the incursion. This collaboration ensured that potential developments, including any evasive maneuvers by the submarine, could be monitored in real time, providing a regional buffer of strategic oversight. Analysts emphasize that this level of multinational coordination is critical in the Baltic context, where constrained waters, complex maritime traffic, and overlapping national interests create conditions of high operational sensitivity. By integrating Allied situational awareness, Sweden enhanced both the robustness of its response and the signaling effect to potential observers in Moscow. Internal operational reporting highlighted additional layers of analytical rigor. Acoustic and sensor data were processed to classify the submarine's likely type, propulsion systems, and operational profile. The intelligence derived from these assessments informed decisions regarding patrol adjustments, predictive positioning, and resource allocation. Each adjustment was made with precision, maintaining an equilibrium that allowed continuous monitoring without compromising the defensive posture or escalating confrontation. Analysts describe this as a textbook example of layered maritime control, in which observation, deterrence, and intelligence collection operate concurrently within a disciplined operational framework. Beyond immediate tactical concerns, the incursion prompted broader regional adjustments. Neighboring naval commands modified patrol schedules, realigning assets to reinforce coverage along sensitive corridors. Contingency protocols for escalation, ranging from signaling warnings to potential interception, were reviewed and rehearsed, ensuring readiness without introducing provocation. Analysts emphasize that such dynamic coordination underscores a key principle in modern maritime security. Operational control is maintained not merely through the presence of assets, but through their flexible deployment, intelligence integration, and anticipation of adversary behavior. Media and public communications were carefully synchronized with operational activity. Official statements focused on factual reporting and measured reassurance, emphasizing surveillance and readiness while avoiding alarmist language. Analysts note that this dual-layer communication strategy, combining visible operational intensity with composed public messaging, is essential in maintaining both domestic confidence and international credibility. By managing both perception and reality, Sweden conveyed capability and composure simultaneously, reinforcing its sovereign control over territorial waters. As midday progressed, patterns in the submarine's behavior began to reveal strategic intent. Analysts observed repeated maneuvers along key maritime corridors, suggesting reconnaissance or testing of response protocols rather than random movement. Each pattern was documented and analyzed in real time, with naval units adjusting positions to maintain optimal coverage and intelligence acquisition. The presence of multiple layers of observation, sonar arrays, aerial surveillance, and human intelligence ensured that both immediate tactical responses and longer-term strategic assessments could be informed continuously. Internal command sources indicate that decision-making was highly iterative. Each movement of the submarine, each detected anomaly, and each subtle shift in behavior triggered recalibration of patrol sectors, sensor focus, and intelligence reporting. This dynamic feedback loop ensured that Sweden's operational posture remained both adaptive and resilient, capable of responding to contingencies while maintaining the overall strategic objective: observation, containment, and deterrence. Analysts describe this process as a high-fidelity exercise in real-time operational management, balancing precision, flexibility, and strategic foresight in one of Europe's most contested maritime theaters. Financial and strategic observers note that even peripheral indicators, shipping traffic adjustments, port monitoring, and coordination with energy transport routes, were integrated into operational planning. These measures minimize disruption while providing additional layers of situational awareness, reinforcing Sweden's ability to maintain stability across multiple dimensions simultaneously. In effect, the response extended beyond kinetic control to encompass a holistic maritime management framework, integrating civilian, defense, and allied interests. By midday, the cumulative effect of Sweden's multi-layered response was unmistakable. Operational control, intelligence integration, and strategic signaling created an environment in which the intruding submarine was fully monitored, its movements anticipated, and potential escalation avenues contained. Analysts emphasize that the sophistication, coordination, and immediacy of the response serve not only to assert sovereignty but also to communicate capability and deterrence to regional and international audiences. Possibly, it is worth following the ongoing developments closely, for insiders suggest that while the submarine remains under continuous observation, the implications of its presence, the Swedish response, and Allied coordination may unfold over hours and days, revealing both the depth of operational preparedness and the broader strategic calculations shaping security dynamics in the Baltic Sea. By midday, the situation in the southern Baltic had settled into a carefully managed equilibrium, yet the full ramifications of the Russian submarine incursion were far from concluded. Swedish forces maintained a continuous, multi-layered posture of surveillance, deterrence, and intelligence collection. Naval units, aircraft, drones, and acoustic sensor networks operated in seamless coordination, tracking the vessel's movements, analyzing acoustic signatures, and continuously updating predictive models to anticipate potential maneuvers. Sources within the Swedish Armed Forces report that every adjustment in position, patrol pattern, and sensor focus was carefully calibrated, ensuring both operational control and strategic signaling. Analysts emphasize that this real-time integration of assets exemplifies modern maritime defense doctrine: precision, flexibility, and multi-domain awareness functioning in concert. Operational intelligence indicates that the submarine's trajectory, depth variations, and maneuvering patterns were being interpreted not only as tactical movements but also as deliberate strategic probes. Analysts note that these movements were likely designed to test detection capabilities, response times, and coordination among Sweden's naval, air, and allied assets. In response, Swedish command maintained a posture of disciplined observation, carefully calibrating each action to assert sovereignty while avoiding provocation. Patrol vessels adjusted positions dynamically, sonar sweeps were optimized for coverage without triggering confrontation, and aerial surveillance continued to monitor both the submarine and surrounding maritime traffic, ensuring that no unexpected developments went unnoticed. The integration of Allied intelligence channels added another critical layer. NATO liaison officers and regional partners received timely, verified updates on the submarine's location and behavior. This coordination enhanced collective situational awareness, providing a buffer against potential misinterpretation or escalation. Analysts stress that this level of multinational integration is particularly important in the Baltic, where narrow waters, high commercial traffic, and overlapping territorial claims create an environment of heightened sensitivity. By synchronizing observation and reporting, Sweden not only secured its own territorial waters but also reinforced regional security structures and communication protocols. Media and public communications were tightly aligned with operational realities. Official statements emphasized monitoring, observation, and control, projecting calm and measured reassurance without compromising classified operational information. Analysts note that this dual-layer approach, visible composure coupled with covert operational intensity, serves multiple strategic objectives. It reassures domestic and allied audiences, signals capability and resolve to potential adversaries, and minimizes the risk of miscalculation or overreaction. Every public message was coordinated with operational planning, reflecting a comprehensive approach to both perception and tactical management. Internally, command decisions were guided by iterative assessment and continuous adaptation. Each movement of the submarine, each acoustic reading, and each pattern of behavior prompted recalibration of patrol sectors, sensor focus, and intelligence priorities. Predictive modeling allowed commanders to anticipate potential routes, evasive maneuvers, and testing behaviors, ensuring that assets were positioned to respond effectively without creating unnecessary escalation. Analysts describe this as a highly disciplined application of layered defense principles, operational flexibility, data-driven decision-making, and strategic signaling combined to maintain control in a dynamic and potentially volatile environment. Strategically, the implications extend far beyond the immediate encounter. The presence of a foreign submarine in sensitive waters underscores the ongoing importance of Baltic maritime security and the need for continuous readiness, multi-domain integration, and rapid response capability. Analysts note that the incident serves as both a test of Sweden's operational preparedness and a signal to regional actors regarding the country's ability to assert control and maintain deterrence in contested spaces. Every aspect of the response, from detection and tracking to allied coordination and public communication, reinforces the message that Swedish sovereignty and regional security are closely monitored, capable of rapid escalation if necessary, and executed with precision. Observations from the field suggest that the submarine's activities were likely designed to evaluate both Sweden's tactical response and its information management protocols. Analysts note that the vessel's behavior, repeated proximity to key maritime corridors, adjustments in depth and speed, and apparent reconnaissance maneuvers, reflects a methodical approach to probing defensive capabilities. Sweden's measured yet immediate response, combining active monitoring with strategic discretion, effectively neutralized the element of surprise while simultaneously collecting valuable intelligence on operational readiness. The broader operational and diplomatic picture also emerged clearly by midday. Sweden's integration of naval, aerial, and sensor assets, coupled with transparent communication with allied networks, established a multi-layered deterrent posture. This posture simultaneously reinforced national sovereignty, validated rapid response capabilities, and communicated strategic resolve. Analysts note that the careful orchestration of operational, informational, and perceptual elements serves as a model for modern maritime security, combining proactive detection, adaptive response, and calibrated signaling to manage both real and perceived risk. As the day progressed, the cumulative effect of Sweden's actions became evident. The submarine was fully monitored, its maneuvers anticipated and accounted for, and potential escalation channels contained. Analysts emphasize that this level of operational discipline, seamless integration of surveillance, intelligence, and strategic signaling, demonstrates not only immediate tactical readiness but also the broader capacity for sustained maritime control under high-stakes conditions. The situation illustrates the intersection of technology, procedural rigor, and strategic foresight, creating a scenario in which both sovereignty and deterrence are maintained without resorting to direct confrontation. Possibly, it is worth noting that while the submarine remains under continuous observation, the long-term implications are still unfolding. Analysts caution that each action, adjustment, and observation contributes to a deeper understanding of operational capability, adversary behavior, and regional strategic dynamics. Sweden's response, executed with precision and measured intent, provides a clear example of modern maritime security in practice: rapid detection, layered monitoring, adaptive decision-making, and strategic signaling combine to maintain control, assert sovereignty, and deter potential aggression in one of Europe's most sensitive and strategically significant maritime theaters. In conclusion, the events in the Baltic highlight a broader principle: maritime control is achieved not merely through force or confrontation, but through integration, foresight, and the disciplined orchestration of operational, informational, and perceptual domains. On the surface, calm and control were maintained. Beneath that calm, a multi-layered system of observation, analysis, and strategic signaling ensured that the incursion was contained, understood, and leveraged for both immediate and long-term strategic insight. The day's events may not have concluded the encounter, but they established a framework for continuous vigilance, adaptive response, and strategic awareness, illustrating Sweden's capacity to operate effectively in a complex, high-stakes maritime environment.